All right. Really, the person that won't practice today is Bucker. So he still working with the ankle sprain, just getting the swelling down on it. Look forward to playing the Raiders. Good football team. The games that the game that they didn't win, or games that they didn't win, it was a one score game. So we understand how good they are. We understand that they're up by 20 points in the second half against Arizona, and we've got to have a good week of practice. Anything less than that is not acceptable. Our guys know that. They understand that there is a rivalry between the two teams, and it's always a great battle. So we look forward to bringing them here into Arrowhead and playing good football. So that time's yours.
Coach, does the team, do you all do anything different during Raiders Week? Building on the rivalry, is there anything more to it? Or?
No, you just have to get ready. You have to get ready to play a good team first, and then whatever takes place after that. But I mean, they have a lot of skill, and they've got good bigs, and so you've got to prepare yourself right, and that's the most important thing. Absolutely, the most important thing.
Coach, I asked you on Monday about Blake Bell, another in-house matter. Lucas Niang is also eligible to come off the cup this week. What are you anticipating from him?
And he's close, but not quite there yet. Yeah, I mean he's working through it, but he's not ready to do
that. Two passes, I think, passed 20 yards from Patrick Mahomes in that last game. A lot of it was just short and got the wide receivers blocking at a pretty good level. Is that kind of where you wanted to see this offensive ball as you got it started and you saw it really come to fruition in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, listen, I mean that's got to be part of it, and particularly when you play them and with their rush game and all that. So, but every game's different. But to execute is the main thing. So that's what we were doing, and we executed well. So whatever we call, as long as it's the right call, then we just want. And this is the whole team. I mean, we're trying to execute it better than maybe what we did the week before that.
Coach, it's been 2 weeks since the start of Willie Gates' suspension. I know you said he could return to the building after the 2-week mark. Is he back?
Yeah, he's back in. Yeah, he's back in.
How's he doing?
He's doing good. Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, it looks like he's been working out.
Wendy, is this injury for Harrison Butker, is this dragged on maybe a little longer than you initially thought it would?
Yeah, I mean, normally the sprained ankles don't last, but he's got some swelling in there that you just got to get out, and that's where we're at right now. But it's not that he doesn't want to play. I mean, he wants to get out there. But
what's your sense of McDuffie's pace for return? How's he?
You know what? He's doing great. He's got this week here, and I think he'll get back in there maybe next week. So, yeah.
I'm not sure. I know Josh McDaniels has been around for a while as an OC, and so you got tape and everything. You can get back on that, but as a coach, do you dial back all the way back to Denver, or is it make it a little more difficult to prep that he's new back in that role?
Well, he's a phenomenal football mind. I mean, he's sharp as Dak, and so and he's been doing it a long time. So you kind of know you have evidence of what he likes to do. It's a matter of being able to stop it. That's a challenge, and he does a great job of rotating plays and players and putting people in good spots. So he's a sharp guy, though.
Is it
creative.
hard I know you're going through it with bringing in Marquez and Juju and finding out how long does it take? He's having to go through that with Devontae Adams. Is there obviously you've been around somebody for 5 years, you're going to be more comfortable than you.
Yeah, sure.
Is there a kind of a rule of thumb on when everybody?
And I think everybody's different with it. I mean, that guy's a pretty good football player now. So, and he has a relationship with a quarterback that goes back further than the National Football League, all the way to college. So, you've got to make sure you do a nice job in coverage against it. And he's not the only one the only good receiver they have. So, we got to make sure we're sharp there.
In recent years, Andrew Wiley has had some success equalizing across the. What do you think has led to some of that success, and what do you see maybe in that matchup?
Well, they always have a good. They went to college together, and so there's that part of it, and I think they probably both like playing against each other because they just kind of beat the dog out of each other. So it seems like it's quite a competition. And but I would just tell you that. I mean, Crosby's gotten him a few times. He's gotten Crosby a couple times. So, I mean, that's how it works.
The players talked a lot last week about the challenge that you kind of laid down. NFL season's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You've got to have to know when to apply that. How do you learn that as a coach? I mean, what goes into it to figure out when you need to kind of spark guys up and when you need to lay off a little bit?
You're around these guys so much. I mean, you get a feel for, kind of where they're at and what they're thinking. And you're not always right. It's the human element of the game. I wish I would like to sit here and tell you I'm always right, but and then part of it is the right guys in the locker room and veteran leadership guys talking and making sure they communicate to the younger guys and they understand their urgency. Yeah. It's a long season, but yet you only have your 17 games. That's all. I mean, that's all you have. So that's not as long as basketball, baseball, hockey. It's not it's a little different deal. So you got to take advantage of every one of them.
And with Chris Conley being back, what do you see for him moving forward?
Yeah, well, right now he's doing the practice squad thing, and then we'll just see. I mean, it's great to have him back. It's great to have Kemp back in here, and they're familiar with what we do, and they're great guys. Good workers.
And it was basically 5 time slots in the regular season that you can play in, and you guys hit them all in these first 5 weeks. Has it been a challenge to find a routine, find a rhythm here?
No. I mean, we try to keep everything as consistent as we can at home and on the road. So, Wednesday's a Tuesday and Thursday is a Wednesday. I mean, so they got a couple days off, and then you just kind of get back in the same routine. You just have to, put yourself in the football world and that time slot.
Nate, so many teams are obviously playing these too high shell coverages. I just wonder how much of last year's experience, and given the roster you have, where tight ends become more important or more prominent when a defense is playing too high or shell coverages.
Yeah, I mean, we were blessed to have those guys last year until he got hurt. I mean, but we had Blake in there too. So it was I don't know necessarily if it's that. It's good to be able to rotate some of the personnel groups around. I think that's a positive. But to defeat shell, I mean, you have to stay disciplined and know how to work in space, and that goes probably for any zone coverage. You've got to have a feel for that, and then experience doesn't hurt going against it. Yeah, for sure.
Right. I know this is year 23 or 24. Just have you had 4 to 3 tight ends this good in your time?
I'm not sure all at the same time. I'm not sure at that. Not that I remember. I've had some good tight ends. I've had 3 before that were real good, but we've really got 4 guys. And once Blake comes back healthy.
Sir, Coach, when you were high flying in 18 and 19, and you kept saying defenses come around, they catch up. We've kind of seen that. They've adjusted. Question about the shell defenses and everything. Scoring's down. Teams are running more. How long does that? What's the cycle of it? Is it a 2-year, 3-year? Like?
Yeah, it's great. It's a cat and mouse game a little bit. You always joke as a coach. You go, especially if you've been doing it well. Well, it'll come back around. That's how it works. So, I can't tell you what the cycle is. I know I've been through it though, so I can't tell you the number of years.
Last one.
Coach, with the wins, it's a huge momentum booster, but the roster continues to feel like there's a player of the week every week. Talk about what your roster looks like and how this team is progressing every week. You got another guy, winning.
Yeah, so Brett and his crew do a great job bringing people in. And not only are they good players, but they like to play. So there can be a difference there. They like to practice, timing and all that stuff that goes with it. So they're wired right. But and then the coaches, do a nice job, and the guys believe in what you're doing. So the trick is keep that going. And so we are early in the season. We're just finishing, just working through that first quarter. So it's, you gotta stay on top of your game.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys, fire away.
Patrick, your patience is something that you've always tried to talk about over the years and of course throughout the season. How would you assess your patience so far? And Tampa being a good example where a lot of the short passes we've worked the way you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stuff that I've learned over, especially this last season and into this season, is in order for our offense to have success, sometimes I'm going to have to be patient and take the underneath stuff and get those throws to move the chains. And trusting our offense, we're going to convert on third down. And then when the shot comes, I have to be able to execute and hit them. And that's something that I think defenses are going to continue to do to us until I continue to prove it. And as the season goes on, I'm sure those big shots will continue to start happening more and more often.
What's the vibe like when you guys get that running game going? I know a lot was made about coach challenging the guys, and you can come around shaking everybody's hand and everything. But so much is the math and the analytics of things, but the physical side of football, when you guys can do what you were doing up front, and what does that do in the huddle?
Yeah, the tempo I think the line had from the get-go. I mean, you could tell in practice in the week that they were ready to bounce back. They felt like they didn't play their best in and that wasn't who they were. And so going up against the they could kind of go out there and prove that they still were top in the league. And so they got going early with the run game, and it makes when we're running the ball like that, it makes my job a lot easier because then defenses have to change how they play.
Does that, everyone talked about kind of being off against the Colts, right? It was called a letdown game, different things. You guys didn't have the running game. Is that part of the physically beating somebody? Does that make it easier to get in sync and do all those things?
Yeah, and I think this year, the offensive line especially is one of the strengths of our team. That's pass protecting and run blocking. That's a strength of our team, and we're at the play through them. So whenever they dominate and when they play at a high level, you see this offense play at a high level. So I think you saw it in the first week too. Early in the game, we really ran the ball well, and it forces defenses to adjust. And once they adjust, then we can kind of open it up with the pass game as well.
It's funny as you say that. Looking at that game, you all split down the middle, 37 passing attempts, 37. Does that make the job easier for you? I mean, would you prefer it that way? I mean, your numbers may not look the same. It's not going to look the same regardless of who's on the team. But do you prefer it being as balanced as it was?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have a good, balanced offense, it's hard for defenses to predict what you're doing. And I think you saw that is whenever we ran the ball well, defenses had to start coming up a little bit, change their coverages that they wanted to play, bring some pressures. And when they did, we were able to execute with the pass game. And kind of vice versa, whenever we're passing the ball well, I feel like the defenses have to back up, then we can run the ball. And so in order to be a great offense, I think you have to have that balance. And whenever defenses try to take one of them away, we're able to do the other.
We'll get Isaiah in a second. And Andy's talked about how he's grown within the playbook. How have you seen growth from Isaiah over these 4 games?
Yeah, with all rookies, you have to continue to evolve them more and more and keep them kind of in tune to the game plan. And I think Isaiah was a good point of that. Of not only, I mean, we always know he can run the ball. He can catch the ball and make plays happen, but knowing where he's at in protection, knowing how to run this run versus this based off the blocking and the defensive looks. And I think that's starting to come together with him, and now it's about him continue to build and continue to get better in that sense because you can be physically talented, but in order to set blocks up and really be a great running back in this league, you have to have that next step, and that's the mind of a running back and being able to go out there and execute every down.
Patrick, you're going to be pretty busy here, obviously, today, but it's a big day for Brittany and the Current. And I just wonder what you think about the meaning of what they're trying to do and how that resonates.
Yeah, as an organization, I think the Longs and Brittany have done a great job of just really strengthening and I guess embracing it and going with those women and putting them in the right position to go out and succeed. And I think you've seen it on the field is they believe in those girls, those women to go out there and play at a high level. And they've the state-of-art facility. They're building the brand new stadium now, letting them show that we believe in them. And they do it the right way as an organization. I think you can see that whenever they play on the field.
And one other other franchise question. I mean, you're obviously an investor in the Royals. I don't know if you take the time to follow exactly what's happening closely with the changes they've made, but I wonder if you have any impressions of that.
Yeah, I'm an investor, but I watch kind of how everybody else does. I'm obviously a little bit more invested just because I have money in there. But I'm excited for the young guys that they have. Obviously, I like the staff that they had before, but they wanted to move in a different direction and kind of invest in those young guys. And obviously, the record wasn't what we wanted this year. But they have the talent and they have the young guys now. Let's infuse some veterans in there and try to turn it around as quickly as possible.
Patrick, there was a viral clip, I don't want to call it a clip, but of the NFL Live yesterday. And Ryan Clark, Marcus Spears, and Dan Orlovsky, they were talking about the difference between being under center, being the shotgun, and the different formation in the play. So do you prefer being under center to where you can kind of disguise the play if you're going to play action, or do you prefer being in shotgun?
I think there's a time and place for. I saw the clip. It was like 8 minutes, so I didn't watch it yet, but I'm going to. Apparently, it was really good. Obviously, there's a time and place for both. I think us as an offense, whenever we're running the ball well from under center, that play action does kind of develop a little bit better because you get that really hard sell and the linebackers really come up, and then you can kind of strike over the top. But at the same time, we don't want to get away from our identity, and I feel like we can be under center, but we are in the gun probably predominantly, and I don't want to get into a place where we're going under center just to play action. You want to make sure that it ties in together with whatever your game plan entails, and that's something I think Coach Reid need to be doing a great job of.
Talk about the 50-50 balance and how that sometimes gets you guys into a rhythm more. You were able to get Travis going early. Is there like a palpable sense if you're able to get Kelsey going early, you feel like this offense can cook all game long?
I think every game plays out differently. I think it helps for sure because once Travis gets going, he creates a lot of attention that goes to him, and it helps other guys get favorable matchups. But I think we just had a good understanding of let's get the ball in my hands quickly, get to our guys, our playmakers in space. Let's run the ball. Give their defensive line a lot of different looks so that when we need a drop back pass game, our offensive line is at an advantage and they can go out there and show their talent, which they did.
You mentioned getting the playmakers in space and more involved. Mecole Hardman, 80 total snaps, 2 targets over the past 2 games. How do you balance getting him more involved and also just staying within the offense?
Yeah, I think he'll become more involved. I think he's got to get more and more healthy. I think you saw in the first few weeks he was having some good plays and making some stuff happen, and he got a little banged up, and he hasn't had that same production these last 2. But I think as he gets more and more healthy, he'll continue to be involved in this offense. He's got special talent, special speed, and we have a lot of different guys in that receiving room. But I expect all of them to be involved throughout this entire season.
Patrick, that dump off pass to touchdown pass to Clyde, you're right on the line of scrimmage, and it always seems like you have an innate sense of just kind of where that line of scrimmage is. Is that a field thing for you, or is that something you're always seeing? You're always seeing the sticks. I think it's more of a feel. There's times where I'm close. I know when I was a little closer, I looked right at the line right after I threw it just to kind of see where I was at. But it's a feel where I know when I run a little bit further backwards, I have more room to run up. And I try to stay behind the line of scrimmage as long as possible because I'm not the fastest guy, but if I'm going to run, I'll make sure that I'm attacking the line of scrimmage. So I'm not going to try to go past it unless I know I have a chance to make some room. And it helps too that you don't have to stay behind, right? You could have a toe just behind, and it counts as the whole body being behind, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I think at the quarterback position, that people would be lying if they said they're like holding the foot back on purpose. So I think you just throw it and try to make sure that you're behind it and hope for the best.
Anything you learned or saw about that play that maybe you didn't realize at the time now that you had a chance to look at it on video?
I knew at the time I got rolled up pretty bad, but I feel like I was lucky to get out of there without being really injured. And I saw the picture that was kind of going around Twitter, and I was like, man, all those ankle mobilities I've been doing really must have paid off.
Patrick, Travis turned 33, obviously, this week. You were here statistically when his age is in his prime, and now you're here when statistically it says he should be on the other side. How have you seen him evolve to maybe make sure that his speed declines if the production does not?
I think he's just smarter as a player. I think that's the biggest thing. He knows how to get himself open. He knows how to use other people and other parts of the concept to get himself open. And he's smart about how he blocks, how he can pin guys and get in the right position. And I think he's just continued to evolve and be even better as a tight end. And he is getting up there. I'm going to try to keep him here as long as possible. I promise you. But he's definitely someone that he's not taking any screens like 80 anymore, I don't think, but he's still going to make some production on the field.
Are there specific plays you can point to that sort of show what you're talking about with him?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the first touchdown last week, how he kind of motioned in and used those two guys that were kind of released to get himself some access so that he wasn't necessarily pressed up on. This is stuff like that. That's stuff where, and maybe 4 or 5 years ago, you might just line him up in the spot and say, "Hey, just go win." Whereas now we give him a little freedom to motion a little bit and get himself open so that he can use his talents and go out there and put up numbers like he always does.
Patrick, you in an interview were talking about the fun plays and getting a chance to design them. You were talking about the going in motion. You were joking around about that. Is that something you guys work on in mini camp and training camp, or is there a little pocket each week where Andy, opens it up to kind of keep things loose and fun?
It's definitely, I mean, we're going to mini camp and training camp and stuff like that, but we during special teams, all those guys that aren't in that special teams that day, we come over there, we kind of work on and design our own plays with the coaches. We have a little window there where Coach Reid, he lets special teams obviously have a big part of the practice, and so we work on our plays then, and then I take them to Coach Reid, and we see if we can get them in the game plan.
Patrick, these Raiders week, what makes them so different?
Yeah, you know it's going to be a battle every single time. It's going to be both teams trying to play their best football. It's a true rivalry. We know that it doesn't matter what the records are. You're going to go out there and play. It's going to be a dogfight. And they got a great football team. I mean, their record, they don't have the best record, but every game they've been in the game or been leading the game at certain points. So we understand it's going to be a great challenge for us. And especially Monday night at Arrowhead, we want to go out there and find a way to win.
Last two were Harold and then Matt. Go ahead, Harold.
Patrick, how did you convince Andy to do the commercial, and then what did you think of Andy's acting performance?
Yeah, so I made State Farm ask him first because I was scared. But once they asked him, he kind of came to me and asked me if I wanted him to do it, and obviously I did because I know how much personality he has. I think some of y'all understand it too, and people don't see it. They see the coach. They don't see how funny he is, how funny he is. And then once I got in there, he actually got to start before me, and then I came in. And I mean, he did a great job. I think he stole the show, and I'm just trying to hold on to my State Farm partnership now with Coach Reid.
Patrick, you've been on the road a bunch this season. Just how excited are you to get back and play in front of Chiefs Kingdom on Monday night?
Yeah, you said it, man. I'm super excited. Luckily for us, it'll be our second primetime game at Arrowhead. I'm excited to be in front of Chiefs Kingdom. They brought it that first game, and I know they're going to bring it on Monday night. I'm ready to be back home.
Thanks, Patrick.
Pat, does that hoodie come like that sleeveless, or you cut it?
They cut it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got a guy.
I figured that. I didn't figure he had the system.
All right, guys.
Pacheco, do you feel like you have an angry running style or violent running style? Is that how you would describe yourself in the way you run?
Most definitely, when I'm on that field, it's the only place you're allowed to hit somebody as hard as you can without getting in trouble. So, when I'm out there, I'm gonna leave it all out there.
Coaching staff and Pat just really complimentary of how you've come along in the playbook and sort of understanding where the blocking is. Can you just kind of describe what that process has been like for these past couple weeks?
Definitely coming in early and getting a head start, everything, understanding the playbook, just taking day by day and, listening to the older guys in the running back room, taking notes. And then when I get in there, just making the most out of the opportunity.
When you get a chance to see yourself on film, how are you critiquing yourself? Like if you go back and watch Sunday Night Football, if you're seeing yourself in the meetings, how are you grading yourself?
Just definitely going back into the film and just picking 3 things to get better off of. And that's what I'm looking for, pick 3 categories that I need to work at and get better and, get better at it.
This might be a funny way to put it, but how much does understanding the playbook affect how you physically can go at it? Like, your pace, your patience, or your just, how hard you can go. I mean, does it change that the more you understand?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, understanding it a little bit better helps me play faster. So if I'm out there, I'm kind of confused. I don't really know the play, and I'm not going to be able to play as fast as I can. So, when it's come out there in practice, for me to listen to the play, listen to the words that speak to me, and then when I hear those words, and go out there and execute it as fast as I can.
How do you balance this? I mean, obviously you have that speed in this game, and you're even fast for what this game has with athletes out there. But sometimes, we've seen guys like Le'Veon Bell that looks like he's having a snack and just kind of looking for things, and then he takes off. Like, how do you balance that, the patience with, letting the hole develop versus hitting the hole quick?
That's where I come in, looking at those three things that I need to get better off of, listening to coach when it comes to the film session. It tells me be a lot more patient, and that's the best way to see it when you're in the film room. You get the better feel of the reads that I could have hit, which hole I could have went which way. So definitely, like you said, taking that time and being patient will help me, and keep listening to coach on that note.
Is the coaching different at the levels? Because like Pee Wee football, every coach is yelling at you to hit the hole fast, right? That's all they do. But like I said, in the NFL, there's more nuance to it. What was it like in college? Were they preaching patience, or were they telling you to hit the hole fast? Like,
they were preaching patience and everything, but the NFL is a lot more different. I feel as though the speed's faster. So for me, just when I got in those All-Star games I played in, it was kind of getting a feel for a different offensive line. And when I got here and kind of just getting the feel for the offensive line, the speed of it, and the game, being more game likes and getting more game reps, definitely gonna help me more.
Not to say you didn't have the production in previous games, but it sort of felt like you were hitting a stride. There was maybe like a breakthrough at the net. Did you feel that, or the net going on in the Bucks game, where it felt like, okay, this is starting to come a little bit easier? The pace of the game was slowing down a little bit for you.
I was out there having fun, so I really wasn't worried about anything but besides winning. So for me, whatever I had to do to get my job done on the field, that's what I was worried about.
Isaiah, you mentioned those three things that you wanted to work on. I know you came into the league. We talked a couple times, just talked about your confidence. How much has that confidence helped you, week in, week out?
Like I was saying before, the confidence is helping me a lot more. Being able to play faster, being confident in the play and the scheme, and understanding my job allows me to go out there and execute and play faster to protect Patrick.
You mentioned the three things that you want to take away each week. Can you give an example of like what one of those things may be?
I say the patience and being able to read the defense a little bit more better, and being able to read the defender's moves. Like a linebacker, for instance, being able to read his moves, so when I come there on game day, help me be able to attack him more.
A couple of those outside zone runs. You were hitting one of the last gaps on the perimeter. Is that a good indication of the patience you're talking about?
Definitely, yes, sir. That's the scheme of the play, and find it and be patient until you see it and you hit it.
With you doing kickoff returns, do you think that kind of helps you get ready since you're not starting in every game? Do you think that kind of gives you a little bit of extra juice? You get the ball in your hand, and then when you do get your opportunity to come in on offense, you're already going instead of just coming off the bench cold. You're ready to go since you've already had a couple of returns.
Like I said before, whatever coach wanted me to do, I'm gonna do it. And for me to be out there on kick KOR, to return the kick, get a good spot for the offense, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna keep working hard and execute.
Some of the commentary surrounding you, this guy really runs hard. At what stage of your life did people start to notice, like, okay, Isaiah's a little bit different, and how hard he can hit the hole?
Probably in high school, people realize that. But, for me, just being the same guy and not changing and coming to work every day, working hard, so it shows on the field.
It was pretty well talked about that, maybe a challenge put out there to the line in the running game after the Indy game, and that challenge was met. And you had a number of physical runs in there. Like, what's the vibe like in the huddle when you come back? And you had one in particular where it looked like you were stopped, and then all of a sudden the pile's moving and you're firing out there. And when you come back into the huddle, what's it? We don't ever get to hear what's said in there. Does that amp everybody up? Does everybody build on that?
When I get in the huddle, and my first intentions is to get in the O-line's face and and tell them, like, let's go, man, let's hit this hole, let's get rolling. To give them a little bit more juice and bring a little bit more to the game. And I love my offensive lineman, so for me to be a guy to be an extra voice, I'm gonna do it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, all right, guys, fire away.
It seemed to be kind of a decent, like, I don't know, energy or attitude difference with the team from Indianapolis to Tampa. Did you feel something different during the week as you guys were building up for the game last week?
No, I just really locking in, getting back to the basics, man, fundamentals, and having a good week of practice. Having a good game plan to execute it. So that's kind of what we was doing throughout the week, and and then got to Sunday and just put out there on the field.
How would you characterize how your season's gone so far?
It's going good, man. Just trying to get healthy for real. A little banged up from the Chargers game still. But just trying to get healthy, man, and just doing what I can do to help the team best way I can.
Can you characterize kind of what you're going through right now with that, trying to play through it?
I just the heel still. Some injury I never dealt with before, but taking the right necessary steps to get back fully healthy and get back running full speed. So.
Was there any thought about fearing the worst based on watching the replay of it? Did you feel like it could have been a worse injury?
Oh man, yeah. I didn't know it looked that bad, honestly, until I watched the film, and it looked crazy watching it. But luckily, it was just the heel, and definitely an injury that you can play through. So I'm happy it was just that.
Andy has mentioned that might have been hindering you these past couple of weeks. What specifically has it impacted? Is it like a speed thing or turning on routes? And like what specifically is it hindering?
Oh yeah, it's just it's like more of a you can't do everything you want to do type thing. It's definitely a pain tolerance that you can tolerate as far as cutting or going full speed or even stopping. But it's just something you just gotta work at and treat daily to get back right. So it's nothing too crazy.
Is this something that you feel can linger, or how close to being fully healthy do you think you are?
I think I'm right there, honestly. It's going on the third week. I think today is the third week actually. I don't think it's lingering or will linger. I never really had this injury before to tell you if it'll linger around, but I'm close to being out the training room and being back to 100%. So.
Mecole, there was a play where you appeared to be pretty open in the end zone on one play in Tampa. Did you have a conversation about that, or did that pop up in film?
You see it on film. It's just something to talk about and something to look at going forward. Just one of those misreads thing, and you can't blame nobody for that. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. So, but it's just something to talk about in film, and probably a play we can go back to later in the season.
We know the changes that happened this offseason. Now you got about a quarter of the way. Would you describe the identity of the wide receiver room so far?
I think we still really building and creating that identity. Honestly, then we got a good group of guys. I think Scott coming along well. Justin Watson is going to be a big piece later in the season, and obviously Mecole and Juju. We just got to lead the way for those guys and just be them veterans for them. So it's definitely the identity still been built, and but it's coming along well.
Anything you noticed so far about the Raiders secondary?
Kind of same old secondary. Honestly, I think they led by 2-4. A group of guys are gonna get after the ball. It's gonna challenge you every single play, and so we just gotta be something we gotta be ready for. Get ready to be ready for them guys. Get in on the run game. Get ready to block them guys. And just make plays when we have a chance to. So, but they're definitely a good group of guys, and we're gonna look forward to playing them. So.
Mecole, does the contract situation, does that weigh on you at all?
You said the contract situation? Yeah. Oh, no, man. I'm just letting the play speak for itself. Just make some plays here and there, and whenever your number called, take advantage of it, and then they'll take care of itself.
Not necessarily about your game or anything like that, but did you see the play in the Rams game where the fan ran on the field and Bobby Wagner hit him? And I guess now the fan has filed a police report or something. Do you have any thoughts on, have you ever seen a fan run on the field? Do you ever think about taking it out yourself? And does it make you think differently if someone's going to file a police report?
No, I kind of be cheering them on, honestly. Hey, get away from them, see how many times they can, make the people miss. So I think it's kind of like a show to watch, honestly, like a comedy show. And but I don't think I'd ever if I just hit this fan or something, or unless maybe they come try to mess with me or something, then maybe but nah. I heard he filed a police or a lawsuit or something against Bobby Wagner.
Police report, I guess.
Yeah, because I feel like it's not our job to do that. So I guess he got a right to file a lawsuit. I guess hope he don't win it because I don't want Bobby out of no money or anything like that. But
it's definitely fun to watch the fans on the field, though. That's hilarious. But I never think about trying to do anything.
Last one, Darren. You still got to get going, right?
Obviously, fourth year against the Raiders. What's Raider week mean to you?
Just win the game, man. I don't like to hear those guys, brag on beating us or anything like that. But it's one of those rivalry games that's been around before, before I even got here. So it's a game you definitely want to win, a game you look forward to, and it's Monday Night Football. So it don't get really much better than that. So definitely a week to prepare and get ready. Know it's going to be a hard game, a hard challenge, no matter how good each team is. It's one of those games that you got to be prepared for. So.
Thanks.